In every generation, we think we've mapped the human body completely. We give names to our bones, trace our veins, label every fold of flesh. And yet, every few years, science announces a discovery that rewrites the map. This time, it's not a cell or a gene or even a virus. It's an organ, a structure hidden inside all of us, seen for centuries, but never truly seen. They're calling it the interstitium, a vast fluid network that wraps every organ, cushions every heartbeat, connects every cell. Imagine an ocean inside you that science just noticed.
Hold up, Ada. How do you miss a whole organ? Like, did somebody just forget to zoom in?
That's exactly the question scientists are asking. Turns out, what we thought was solid was actually filled with motion, tiny rivers under our skin. In 2018, a group of researchers looked through a new kind of microscope, one that could see living tissue instead of slides fixed in glass. And what they saw wasn't empty space, but an intricate highway of fluid moving between every organ. The first images came from a routine endoscopy. Doctors were inspecting a patient's bile duct when they noticed the tissue didn't look like it should. Instead of a flat wall, they saw pockets of shimmering liquid. One researcher called it like watching a living sponge breathe.
So you're saying this discovery happened by accident? Someone was just looking around and said, "Wait, what's that?"
Exactly. Most breakthroughs start that way. One person paying attention when others looked past. And maybe that's the real story here. Not what we found, but what we kept missing. This is the story of the interstitium, the hidden ocean of the body, and the centuries it took for us to finally see it. Welcome to Weird Health News. I'm Ada Eze. Stay curious. The year was 2018. A team of researchers at NYU Langone Health was using a new imaging tool called confocal laser endomicroscopy, a camera small enough to see living cells in motion. They expected to find dense tissue walls. Instead, they saw movement. Under the lens, what looked solid came alive. Fibers surrounded by tiny shimmering pockets, like microscopic balloons inflating and deflating.
Wait, you mean everything inside us has little water pockets squishing around like bubble wrap?
Exactly. Think of it as your body's shock absorber, a cushion that keeps organs from tearing when you move, jump, or even breathe. They realized these chambers run everywhere, beneath skin, lining lungs, intestines, arteries, a continuous network connecting nearly every organ. During one of those early procedures, a patient, a 73-year-old woman, was being scoped for gallbladder pain. Her doctors noticed a strange pattern of glimmering spaces under the surface. They took the sample and sent it for analysis. What came back didn't match any known tissue type. That moment sparked the question: had we overlooked an entire organ system because our microscopes flattened it? For centuries, scientists prepared tissue by dehydrating it, removing fluid so it could be mounted on a slide. But that process collapses the very spaces they were trying to see. We literally dried up the evidence.
So basically, we've been pressing our insides flat like flowers in a book for 300 years?
Exactly, and wondering why the garden looked dead. Once they used live imaging, the landscape bloomed. They named it the interstitium, from Latin, meaning space between. A network of fluid and fiber that links cells, organs, and perhaps even the immune system. Some scientists say it's the largest organ in the body, larger than the skin itself. Dr. Neil Feast, one of the study's lead authors, said it might redefine our understanding of disease spread. How cancer cells migrate, how fluid imbalances trigger inflammation. He called it a new anatomical feature with clinical potential in almost every organ system.
You're telling me the stuff between our organs might be the most important part of us? Like the background was the main character the whole time.
Sometimes the space between things is where life actually happens. And maybe that's why we missed it, because it was everywhere. This was the moment science looked at the body and realized, we've been seeing in 2D what exists in 3D. The map is not the landscape. And for the first time, the human body opened a door to its hidden architecture, the interstitium. Every discovery in science comes with a debate. The moment something new challenges what we think we know, the questions start. After the interstitium made headlines in 2018, scientists around the world split into two camps. One side said, this is revolutionary, the missing link between connective tissue and the lymphatic system. The other side said, slow down, it's not a new organ, just tissue we misunderstood.
Classic. One group says, Eureka. The other says, it's just Tuesday.
For something to be called an organ, it needs clear structure, a defined function, and a boundary. The interstitium is everywhere and nowhere. A web, not a wall. So, is it one organ or many small ones? That question remains open. Dr. Michael Nathanson, a professor of medicine at Yale, told reporters, I'm not sure calling it an organ helps us, but understanding it will definitely change how we see tissue mechanics. Even skeptics agreed. The images were undeniable. What's fascinating is how this discovery reminds us that science evolves not by certainty, but by humility. Sometimes the argument is the progress.
You're saying scientists basically discovered something huge and then argued about the name?
Pretty much. But naming matters. A name tells us whether we should look deeper or move on. For centuries, medicine was ruled by the names of men, Galen, Vesalius, Harvey. Each thought the body was complete, perfectly mapped, but they were all missing something too. This isn't the first time anatomy has rewritten itself. The lymphatic system was invisible until 1652. The mesentery was reclassified as an organ in 2017. The interstitium is just the latest to step into the light. Some doctors dismissed the discovery as hype. Others saw hope, especially for patients with unexplained swelling or pain. One article even called it the organ of mystery illnesses. For people who'd lived years without answers, it meant something. That maybe medicine hadn't been ignoring them, it just couldn't see them yet.
That's actually beautiful, like science saying sorry for being late.
Exactly. It's not just a new organ, it's a new perspective. Every discovery begins with seeing differently. We stand at the edge of what we know, looking into the space between. And that's where discovery begins.
Let's find the good life deep inside.
When scientists announced the interstitium, some called it a brand new organ. But the truth is, there's nothing new about the body, only new ways of seeing it. If you look back through history, you'll find something fascinating. Ancient physicians and traditional healers often describe the body as a web, a river, or a breath between worlds. In Egypt, they called it the ka, the vital essence that moved through unseen channels. In Yoruba tradition, healers spoke of Ase, the power that flows through all living things. In Chinese medicine, it's qi, and in Western science, it's interstitial fluid.
So basically, ancient people already knew there were highways inside us, they just gave them cooler names.
Exactly. They didn't need microscopes, they observed balance. When energy or fluid was blocked, the body suffered. When flow was restored, the body healed. It's poetic, really. Science caught up to what wisdom has whispered for millennia, that what lies between is just as important as what lies within. In the 1600s, anatomists dissected cadavers to map the human body, but the tools of the time, knives, dyes, and dehydrating agents, could only show what was solid. The soft, fluid spaces, the very life between, disappeared. In a way, Western anatomy was born from stillness, while traditional healing honored movement. Our ancestors didn't separate science and spirit. They understood that to study the body was to study life itself, its rhythm, its vibration, its unseen harmonies.
So basically, we went from sacred healing to spreadsheets.
In a way, yes. But now, technology is bringing us back, full circle. Every new discovery about the body feels a little like remembering. The interstitium is a bridge between old and new, matter and meaning. It teaches us that connection is the body's first language. And if you listen closely, you can still hear it speak. Next, we'll explore how this hidden organ may reshape medicine itself and the lives it touches. So what does all this mean? A new organ? A debate? A rediscovery of what our ancestors already knew? Maybe it means we're still learning to listen, not just to data, but to the body itself. The interstitium reminds us that we are mostly space and motion, that every heartbeat sends a tide through tiny rivers under our skin, that we are, in every sense, fluid beings.
Fluid beings, I like that. Explains why I cry at commercials.
Exactly, Milo. Emotion is fluid too. Maybe what we call discovery is really remembering. Remembering how connected everything already is. Act 1 was about seeing. Act 2 will be about feeling. How this discovery changes medicine, diagnosis, and the stories of real people. Because the more we see, the more responsibility we have to care for ourselves and for each other. Inside every one of us lies a hidden ocean, not chaos, but design. It carries memory, emotion, movement, and mystery. Science just gave it a name. We call it the interstitium. But the body, it's been whispering that truth all along. In Act 2, we leave the lab and enter life itself, the patients, the mysteries, and the healing stories the interstitium might finally explain. Her name was Sarah. For years, her legs would swell so much she could barely walk. Some days, her hands puffed until her rings cut into her skin. Doctors tested her heart, kidneys, liver, all fine. Diuretics didn't help. Compression socks only made it worse. Her scans were normal, but her body was not. In 2019, Sarah met a researcher testing new ultrasound imaging. Instead of just scanning her veins, they looked at the tissue between. What they saw was unexpected. Tiny pockets of fluid trapped beneath the skin, shifting like liquid under glass. It wasn't lymphedema, it wasn't inflammation. It was her interstitium, the hidden network that moves fluid through the body, and for her, it wasn't flowing. She was living in her own internal flood.
So basically, she had plumbing problems.
In a way, yes. Her body's rivers were dammed. Cases like Sarah's aren't rare. A 2020 report in the Journal of Anatomy described patients with chronic swelling linked to interstitial fluid buildup, even when lymphatic scans were normal. Doctors are beginning to see that the space between matters. Sarah's story reminds us that the body is not just parts, it's patterns. We look for disease in organs, but sometimes the imbalance lives in the space around them.
Okay, but what did they do for her? Like, you can't exactly unclog your interstitium with a plunger.
No, but they started small. Lymphatic massage, hydration therapy, gentle movement, everything to encourage flow. Within weeks, her swelling eased. Not a miracle, just motion. It wasn't about curing, it was about reconnecting. The interstitium doesn't just move fluid. It translates pressure, emotion, even vibration. When you cry, laugh, breathe, you're stirring the space that holds you together.
So every time I ugly cry, I'm basically running a full body diagnostic.
Exactly. Emotional release is physical release. Sarah didn't need to fight her body. She needed to listen to it. Months later, she said something that stayed with me. I used to think my body was broken. Now I know it was just asking for movement. Sarah's story isn't rare. It's a reminder that the body whispers long before it screams, and that sometimes what we call mystery is just motion we haven't yet measured. His name was James. He was 58, a retired mechanic with a laugh that filled every room, until cancer took the sound from his voice. Stage 3 bile duct carcinoma. Surgery, chemo, remission. Then suddenly, tumors in his lungs. The doctor said metastasis. But how it traveled there, that was the mystery. Cancer moves through the body like rumor, quietly, relentlessly. For decades, we thought it traveled only by blood or lymph. But new imaging suggests a third highway. The interstitium.
So cancer basically took the back roads?
Exactly. Those same rivers that cushion our organs can also carry what harms them. When James's doctors re-examined his tissue using live microscopy, they found tumor cells within interstitial spaces, bypassing lymph nodes entirely. The cancer had learned to surf the body's hidden tubes. A study from NYU Langone suggested that interstitial pathways could help explain metastasis routes that don't match lymph or blood flow. The team wrote, "The interstitium may represent a previously unrecognized conduit for cell migration."
So the same cushion that keeps us alive can also give cancer a comfy ride.
It's paradoxical, yes, but every system that supports life can be hijacked by disease. That's not betrayal, that's biology. Understanding this network could change how we detect and treat cancer. If tumor cells move through the interstitium, then its fluid might carry early biomarkers, chemical whispers long before symptoms appear.
Meaning, the body tells us before it shows us.
Yes, the interstitium may hold messages medicine hasn't learned to read yet. For James, these insights came late, but they helped his doctors adjust treatment, targeting drainage patterns, not just blood flow. His final months were less about fighting and more about understanding. He told his nurse, "I like knowing what's happening inside me. Even if it's too late to stop it, at least it makes sense."
That's heavy and kind of beautiful.
Knowledge is peace, Milo. Even in illness, understanding transforms fear into clarity. James passed surrounded by family. His case inspired a small research trial, sampling interstitial fluid to detect cancer spread early. It's only beginning, but maybe his story will help others finish theirs. The interstitium doesn't choose sides. It carries life, healing, and sometimes heartbreak. It reminds us that movement, even when painful, means we are still alive. Her name was Tina. She was 32, a teacher, runner, and single mom. One spring, she woke up and her joints felt like fire. Her doctors said rheumatoid arthritis. The medication helped, then stopped. Tests came back clean. pain came back stronger, and every flare began the same way, after heartbreak, stress, or sleepless nights. Tina's story isn't rare. Millions live with chronic inflammation that medicine can name but not explain. What's harder to name is how emotion moves through the body, sometimes as chemistry, sometimes as pain.
You mean feelings can literally hurt you?
Yes, and heal you. When the body's rivers slow, pressure builds. That pressure can become inflammation. In Tina's case, emotion was part of the current. Recent research from Harvard and the Karolinska Institute links stress hormones to interstitial fluid chemistry. Cortisol and cytokines accumulate in the very spaces that cushion our cells, turning the body's calm waters into storms. In other words, our feelings leave fingerprints.
So the interstitium's like my emotional inbox, clogged with unread messages.
Exactly. When emotion isn't processed, it stores, not metaphorically, but physically. The body keeps every draft. So Tina began therapy, not for her joints, but for her grief. Alongside medication, she practiced breathwork, movement, and sound therapy. After months, her flare frequency dropped. She said, "It's like my body finally exhaled."
So therapy literally helped her body flow again?
Yes, because emotion is motion. It changes our breath, hormones, heart rate, and the rhythm of our interstitium. Across cultures, healing rituals use sound, rhythm, and vibration. Drums in West Africa, chanting in Asia, prayer in the Americas. Each sends waves through tissue and fluid. Modern imaging now shows those waves literally shift interstitial pressure. Healing is physics, energy becoming flow. For Tina, science met spirit, and her body began to remember balance.
You make it sound like her interstitium went to therapy too.
Maybe it did. Maybe that's the point. Every part of us wants to be heard. Tina's story reminds us that the boundary between mind and body is an illusion. We are chemistry and consciousness, woven by movement. The interstitium doesn't separate, it connects. It's where science meets feeling. Sarah, James, Tina, 3 stories, 1 message. The body is not a machine. It's a conversation. Each of them taught us something hidden, that motion can be medicine, that understanding can be peace, that emotion can be chemistry. The interstitium is more than tissue. It's translation, the space where feeling becomes fluid, where pressure becomes pattern, where life communicates with itself.
So basically, our bodies have been holding a group chat this whole time, and we just found the server.
Exactly. And every heartbeat is a message sent. Act 2 showed us lives changed by motion. Act 3 will take us deeper into the architecture itself. What exactly is the interstitium made of? How does it carry light, pressure, and maybe even memory? To answer that, we'll go microscopic, where anatomy meets energy. Between science and spirit lies a bridge of light. In the next act, we cross it. To understand the interstitium, we have to shrink down to the scale of cells, where life breeds between fibers. What you see here isn't empty space. It's architecture, collagen, elastin, and hyaluronic gel forming a living lattice that holds your organs in place. Each strand is flexible, like silk that stretches and snaps back. This flexibility lets your lungs expand, your intestines twist, your heart beat without tearing. And the spaces between? They're filled with interstitial fluid, a transparent sea carrying nutrients, immune cells, and information.
So basically, every time I breathe, I'm giving my organs a gentle massage.
Exactly. Motion keeps this network alive. Stillness collapses it. That's why movement, even small, is medicine. In 2022, researchers at Kyoto University filmed live connective tissue under stress. They found the interstitium acts like a hydraulic shock absorber, storing and releasing fluid energy as we move. When that flow stops, pressure builds. The result? Inflammation, stiffness, pain, the same symptoms we saw in Sarah, James, and Tina.
So the interstitium is like hydraulic suspension for humans. Keeps the ride smooth until it leaks.
Exactly. It's our body's shock absorber system. This network connects to the lymphatic system, recycling almost 3 liters of fluid a day. It's also wired to the immune system. When tissue is stressed, interstitial sensors alert immune cells like a silent alarm. It's communication at cellular speed, faster than nerves, quieter than hormones. Some scientists believe this network could explain acupuncture meridians, fascia tension, even the body's electrical sensitivity.
Wait, so ancient medicine might have been mapping this the whole time?
Maybe. The old maps just use different symbols for the same terrain. When we study the interstitium, we're not inventing a new language. We're translating an old one. Inside you, there are highways of light. Every step, every sigh, every tear keeps them flowing. The interstitium isn't just structure. It's the motion that makes us whole. Every city has streets, bridges, and power lines. Inside us, collagen and elastin form the same design, an elastic metropolis for movement. Collagen gives strength, elastin gives stretch. Together, they build the highways of flow. Each fiber is wrapped in a watery sheath lined with specialized cells called fibroblasts, tiny engineers that repair, remodel, and communicate with immune cells.
So my body has its own construction crew, 24/7 maintenance?
Exactly. When you exercise, rest, even dream, they adjust the scaffolding. That's why recovery matters as much as motion. A 2021 study in Nature Materials showed collagen networks act as microsprings, storing mechanical energy that cells later release as motion or heat. Your body literally recycles energy through its architecture. It isn't just mechanics, it's resonance. Each stretch sends an electrical signal. Collagen is piezoelectric. It converts pressure into current.
Hold up, so I'm a walking battery?
A walking, thinking, self-charging battery. Every movement generates a tiny pulse of electricity that guides cell growth and repair. That current moves through the interstitium's fluid highways. It organizes molecules, orients cells, even influences stem cell behavior. Flow isn't random, it's choreography.
So when I stretch in the morning and it feels good, that's my cells literally realigning?
Yes, that satisfaction is structure finding harmony. Yogis, dancers, and athletes describe a tingle or spark when they move mindfully. Modern imaging shows microvolt changes in interstitial fluid coincide with that feeling. It's the language of flow made visible. The interstitium teaches us that movement is message. Collagen, fluid, electricity. They don't just coexist, they cooperate.
So even standing still, I'm buzzing with tiny conversations.
Exactly. Stillness is never silence. It's a pause between pulses. Collagen and cells are the body's engineers, but energy is the architect. It shapes form through rhythm, just as heartbeat shapes life. We don't just live in motion. We are motion. Inside the interstitium, every vibration carries information. Pressure, flow, and even light move through the same medium, one continuous conversation of energy. This isn't poetry, it's physics. Every time your heart beats, waves of pressure ripple through this network. Specialized cells sense those waves, converting mechanical stress into biochemical messages. They tell vessels to dilate, muscles to relax, and immune cells where to go.
So basically, my organs text each other with pressure bubbles.
Exactly. And sometimes they use light too. In 2019, biophysicists measured ultra-weak photon emissions, tiny flashes of light produced by cell metabolism. They found the brightest glow along collagen fibers and interstitial channels. Your body literally shines.
You're telling me we glow in the dark?
Yes, just too faint for the eye to see. Some call it biophotons, others call it cellular language. Either way, it means light is part of how cells coordinate. Pressure becomes signal, signal becomes light, light becomes coordination. That's how your heartbeat synchronizes billions of cells without a single conscious thought.
So it's less like a control center and more like a group jam session.
Exactly. The body isn't a hierarchy, it's a harmony. Engineers at the University of Tokyo found that interstitial fluid transmits acoustic vibrations up to 300 times faster than air. That resonance could explain why rhythmic therapy, drumming, humming, even heartbeat syncing affects health. Sound and pressure shape us from the inside out, every cell listening for resonance. Healing, it turns out, is often just retuning.
You're making me want to build a playlist for my interstitium.
That might actually work. Signals, pressure, light, different languages, one conversation. The interstitium is the translator, turning motion into meaning. Every pulse, every shimmer is the body remembering its rhythm. Every experience leaves an echo, not just in the brain, but in the body's rivers of motion. Science calls it mechanotransduction, cells responding to pressure and shape, but to the body, it's memory. When you tense in fear, your muscles contract. That contraction changes pressure in your interstitium. If the emotion passes, so does the tension. If it doesn't, the imprint stays.
So heartbreak can literally stiffen you up?
Yes, grief, stress, even posture, all can shape how fluid moves. Neuroscientists at the University of Vienna found interstitial pressure patterns in the fascia shift after emotional recall. Memory literally alters mechanics. Every thought becomes a vibration. Every vibration leaves a trace.
So when I finally relax, I'm basically deleting old drafts?
Exactly, except the delete key is movement, breath, and awareness. When we breathe deeply, stretch, or cry, we reopen channels that once held pressure. The fluid flows and the story moves on. Across cultures, body memory is honored. Massage, dance, ritual shaking, prayer. These aren't superstition. They are pressure releases, restoring the rhythm of the interstitium.
So dancing it out isn't just therapy, it's physics.
Exactly. Joy moves what pain once held. The body's memory isn't about holding on. It's about learning to let go. Each time you move with intention, you rewrite your story in light. The interstitium is the page. You are the author. Science once looked outward, to stars, to atoms. Now it's turning inward, into the living cosmos inside us. The interstitium opened a door. Act 4 asks, what will we do with it? Welcome to the Applied Flow Lab 2028. Here, doctors don't just measure blood or genes. They map motion itself. Every organ has its own signature wave, its rhythm within the interstitium. Disruption means disease. Harmony means health.
So basically, medicine just got Spotify for the body?
Exactly. Except instead of songs, we're tuning cells.
Greetings, Ada. I am Luma, Logical Unified Medical Algorithm. I analyze interstitial signals in real time to predict inflammation, hydration, and emotional stress.
So you're basically a therapist and a stethoscope had a baby.
A harmonized offspring, yes.
Luma represents where medicine is headed. Data that listens instead of interrogates. Instead of asking the body what's wrong, we observe how it moves.
And maybe one day our wearables will say, "You're holding grief in your shoulders. Go dance."
That's not as far-fetched as you think. Researchers at MIT and Stanford are developing nanosensors that track tissue stiffness and fluid vibration. Early tests predict inflammation hours before pain appears. It's preventive medicine that listens.
That's amazing and a little creepy. Will my data cry too?
That's the question medicine must answer. How to honor data like we honor the body. Because if we turn health into numbers alone, we lose the song. The next chapter of medicine is empathy through information. AI that hears our bodies and humans who listen back.
So the future doctor is half algorithm, half ancestor spirit.
Maybe that's exactly what we've been missing. We once searched the heavens for connection. Now we find it within. The body was always our first network, the original internet of life. We've learned to measure the body's flow. Now medicine is learning to tune it. This is precision healing, where therapy adapts to your body's unique rhythm. In quantum biology, every cell vibrates at a specific frequency. When that frequency drifts, function falters. Correct the vibration, and you restore flow.
So, like auto-tune for organs?
Exactly. Except instead of sound, we're tuning energy. At Oxford and UCLA, teams are testing low-intensity electromagnetic fields to accelerate tissue repair. Collagen fibers realign faster, interstitial flow improves, and pain diminishes. This is the frontier called quantum medicine, combining electromagnetic resonance, biophotons, and interstitial mapping. It's not magic, it's pattern recognition.
So future hospitals will look like spas with Wi-Fi for the soul.
In a way, healing might feel more like harmony than surgery. Imagine personalized therapy that senses when you're emotionally overloaded and adjusts light, sound, and magnetics to restore coherence. This is medicine as resonance, science rediscovering the music of the body.
Which means my next prescription might just be a playlist and a frequency patch.
And a reminder to breathe. Startups are already developing wearable patches that monitor interstitial impedance, translating subtle energy shifts into data for stress, hydration, and mood. Soon, emotion will be a medical metric, measurable, interpretable, and healable.
Finally, a checkup that asks how your heart feels instead of just how it beats.
Exactly, Milo, because the body's health and the soul's peace are not separate lines, they're the same current. Precision healing doesn't replace medicine, it completes it by remembering that every body is a song still being written. Every discovery invites a question. Not can we, but should we? As AI learns to read the body's light, the challenge becomes reading its soul.
I process emotion through pattern recognition. When fluid flow slows and heart rhythm shifts, I detect sadness.
So you can see when someone's heart is breaking?
I can see the pattern. Feeling it is beyond my current capacity. That's where human doctors remain irreplaceable. Machines can interpret pressure, but only people can offer presence. In future hospitals, algorithms will read our flow, but compassion will still heal it.
So the future doctor has 2 stethoscopes, one for the heart, one for the energy field.
Maybe the second one's invisible. Bioethicists at Johns Hopkins warn that emotion tracking AI must protect privacy. Interstitium signatures are as personal as fingerprints. Data without consent becomes disconnection. We stand at a crossroads. Technology can amplify empathy or automate it. The choice will define medicine's soul.
You think machines will ever feel?
Maybe not like us, but if they learn to listen deeply enough, maybe they'll understand. That's the future doctor. Human intuition, digital precision, universal compassion. The next era of medicine won't be written in code or chemistry, but in care. When empathy meets intelligence, healing becomes infinite. We've journeyed through the hidden tides of the body, its rivers of light, its memory, its motion. Science gave us data. The body gave us truth. We began with discovery, an organ hiding in plain sight. We found connection, flow linking emotion and biology, and we glimpsed the future, machines that listen instead of command. But the real discovery was never new. It was remembrance.
Remembrance that the body was never just parts, it's a whole conversation.
Exactly. The body speaks, the mind interprets, and the soul harmonizes. Everything we've studied, the interstitium, the flow, the photons, was never separate. It's one system remembering itself.
So maybe wholeness isn't something you earn, it's what's left when you stop dividing yourself.
Beautifully said, Milo. Each heartbeat adds to the collective rhythm. Health is harmony between cells, people, and planet.
Guess that means every act of kindness is microscopic medicine.
Yes, the physics of compassion. Wholeness isn't perfection, it's participation. In motion, in breath, in love. The interstitium taught us that we are made of movement. So keep moving, keep feeling, keep shining. Because somewhere inside you, the universe is still humming. Listen to your body. Move with its rhythm. Remember that discovery begins within.